All right, guys, welcome back for another video. Let's go over today's objective. I'll be able to solve quadratic equations in real world context. So just like in the previous lesson, we learned using our graphing how to identify the solutions. Today, we're going to be identifying solutions with real world context. So let's look at our first problem. We're talking about launching a toy rocket from the height of 5 feet. The rocket is t in seconds and h in feet. After taking off, it's a formula h equals to -3t squared plus 14t plus 5. So right now we all have already been given our first equation. Of course, I'm just going to use my y and my x here just to make things a little bit more easy. So I have y equals 2. So let's start by rewriting our equation. 3x squared plus 14x plus 5. Now you're probably wondering, well, where will we get our second equation from? So it says, how long will it take for the rocket to hit the ground? I don't know about you, but once I get to the ground, that's a 0. Okay. So think of the ground as like if something was thrown into the air, goes up in the air, and then it comes back down and it hits the ground. Once it hits the ground, it's back at 0. Okay. So our second equation is just simply going to be y equals to 0. And now we want to see what was x equal to when y equal to 0, like when it hit the ground. So now where we started, but where we hit the ground. So now we can go ahead into our step 2 so we can draw our equation here. So we have y equals -3x squared plus 14x plus 5, and then we have y equals 0. So if we're looking at this, so first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in. And you're wondering, okay, so I see where the purple line touches here and the green line, and the purple line and the green line also touch here. Let's think about this in a real world context. Even though we see two solutions right here, if something was to hit the ground, it cannot be negative, right? Think about negative. Negative would be going underneath the ground. And in this case, we're not talking about like diving into some water or anything like that. We're talking about something simply going back to the ground. So this situation right here, it only makes sense for our solution, the x to equal to 5. That's where it hit the ground. Because if we think about it, our y-intercept we talked about before is our starting point, and that's at 5 feet, which is exactly where they said we started the rocket from. So essentially, if we're paying attention to the graph, we only need to pay attention to the graph from where we started from, which is here. Let me zoom out one more time so you can see the top of it. Where we started from, which is here at 5. So the rocket started here, it went up into the air, and it stopped and it hit the ground right here. So that purple line is signifying the ground. I hope that makes sense. Okay. All right, so let's look at another one. The sum of the first consecutive even numbers can be found using s equals n squared plus n. All right, so we already see we have our first equation. So let's use our y's and x's instead. So I'm going to use y equals to x squared plus x, where they're saying the solution has to be greater than 2. So there's a hint. So the mouth is eating the end. So we know that our solution has to be greater than 2. But it says the sum of the values is 156. So that's going to be our second equation here. So we have y equals to 156. This is where things get super important, and it's multiple choice as well. So this should be a little bit simpler. This is where things get super important when we have to use our zoom in and zoom out tools. So before I even get started, I'm going to start at home. Now I'm going to type in my equation. Y equals x squared plus x. My second equation is y equals 156. So I have a black line and a blue line. Notice I only see the black. That's okay. I'm going to continue to zoom out until I can see both graphs. Now that I can see both graphs, I'm going to zoom in that area with my 2 fingers, just in that area, so I can make sure that I'm identifying the solutions where the black and red touch and the black and red touch. So as I can see, I have two X value options, a -13 and a +12. Even if I didn't know that the solution had to be greater than 2, the only answer choice that I have that matches is answer choice J, which is 12. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I want you to go ahead and make sure you're practicing those practice problems, and I'll see you guys for the next video.